morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard John, and the sulky puppy in the other room who wanted to play all morning and didn't get what she wanted. Hi, guys. Oh, wait, clicky feet. I hear clicky feet. Hi, clicky feet. Are you going to come in and say hello? Are you going to come say hello? No? Come on. Kiki. Hi. Oh, there we go. All right. She deigns to show herself. She deigns to show herself. Yes, the princess. Yes, I know. Quindy's the queen. You can't be the queen, but you can be the princess Kiki. She's like, I'm going to lie in your lap. I've got a dog in my lap. Hi. Hi, lap dog. Hi, giant lap dog. What? What? You're ridiculous. Yes, you still want to play, don't you? I know. You are an eternal puppy. You're such a puppy. Oh, you're such a puppy. Okay. Good girl. No, Papa. Good girl. All right. There we go. We got our silly keeks. Good girl. Go settle. Go settle, Papa. Work, work. Work, work. There we are. Boing. And we're here. Yesterday was a good day. My coach complimented me at CrossFit. Allie, who is the wife of Andrew, they co-coach our 7 p.m. class. And she complimented my front rack. That sounds terrible out of context, doesn't it? That's a Luca serve, if ever. Woof, here you go, Luca. That's an easy lob over the net for Luca. Oh, man. I've said his name 3 times. I've invoked him. Hey, Kiki, settle. Thank you. Good girl. So I've started implementing the doggy games that the behaviorist taught us at Nationals with Kiki. So we're learning up-down game. Hi, good girl. Good girl. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun back here, aren't I? That's what makes you bark. You're like, what's going on back there? What's going on, Mama? Is it something I should be involved in? No, you're good, silly girl. You're good. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. All right. All right. Work, work. Yeah, work, work. But yeah. So I was happy about that because we were doing presses, straight presses. And I exceeded my previous press weight by 15 pounds. I am building muscles. Muscles! It's cool. I was proud. I felt good. My coaches are cool. They're doing a Black Friday hike for the club, for the CrossFit gym. And David and I will probably go because it's actually dog friendly. It's Rastradero Preserve, which is really close to us, only 12 minutes away. And it's meadows and broadleaf conifers. So it should be cool. And they're doing a rucksack hike, but we'll just have a Kiki dog, I think. I don't think I need to add anything to that. Maybe water. David will have a backpack. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. That'll be fun. But I was really happy that I did well on my presses, and I felt like I aced the workout in general. Like with CrossFit, many times, especially being new to it, it just feels like I'm kind of like scrambling and scrabbling to keep up. But last night I felt like I hit it. Like I adjusted all the moves to exactly the level I needed, and I hit it, and I did it, and I felt like I did well at it. And that's the most like CrossFit. Our coaches are the gym owner, our head coach, Tim. His saying is CrossFit should never be easy, but you should get better at it. Like you can only get better at it. So never easy, but you can improve at it. So I felt like last night I improved. It was not easy. It was challenging, but it did not like destroy me, and it was good. It was good. Yeah, that's pretty much, we don't need to shop anyway. David and I do everything online at this point, I think, as far as shopping with quotes around it. Let's see here. I feel like I need to do more work on that purple for sure. I felt like that was where we're going to, but I need to work more on the skin tones too. The skin tones need to come up. So let's do skin and hair today. So let's see here. I've got that ultramarine or that void blue. I think I used void blue. That dark blue that I started with. And that I shaded with, so I'm going to get out Void Blue 9417. And then we have our purples. I believe was Wild Violet. Highlighted up with some Runic Glow and white. And then the skin tones, I was definitely going rosier with those. I think I'm going to just mix up something off the cuff with Rich Leather and Runic Glow and add white to it to get a highlight. I want her skin to come out more. I feel like her face needs more work, more shadows, more highlights to make the shadows stand out. I like the face is okay, but it should really stand out. So I feel like my highlighting isn't at the right level. Yeah, good, Pendrake. Yeah, I mean, David usually carries our water because we don't like to make me carry a heavy pack because of my back. Much as I'm improved with CrossFit, so David usually just carries both our water containers. And I'm hoping to get Keeks to the point where she can wear a pack for dogs and carry her own water. But when she's before she's 2, I wouldn't do that. We always tell people to wait before you put any weight on your dog until you're sure that the growth plates have all closed and they're able to support it. So we're gonna wait on that for a little bit. But she can certainly go hiking with us and meet people. It'll be good for her. I'm going to get my palette down here while I load it up. Oh, it was awesome. I was just telling everybody, my one of my coaches, Allie, complimented me, Crawley. And I felt like I was... I felt like I was accomplished. I felt like I'd improved at CrossFit, which is kind of the point. And the workout was great. I felt it was exactly what I needed. I had been such a slog. It had been such a sloth in Denver because I didn't have anywhere. They didn't really have a gym to speak of at my hotel. And in any case, the days were so long at the dog show that I just didn't have the time or energy when we got back to the hotel. There we go. So I'm just going to mix up a little bit of this Void Blue. I just need it for shading, really. So. But yeah, it was nice to get complimented. Allie is Allie's amazing. She's a beast. Like she's as a husband and wife team coaching. And I think they're both, if I had to guess, I'd say they're in their late 20s, early 30s. I'd have to guess. But Allie's the one who can do handstand push-ups. Like, is serious. She's for serious. She likes it to be difficult. And she's always like giving people feedback on their form. So for her to compliment my front rack position was really cool. Because she's very picky. She's very picky about that stuff. I like Allie a lot. I like both Allie and Andrew. I think they're great people. They're good folks. That's why we consider, hey, enough, going on the hike with them on day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, if I have to put you in here with me so you don't bark, I will. Yeah, it's this annoying thing she's picked up recently where she just is hyper alerting to anything like that she hears out in the street or in yards on either side of us. Just out of nowhere. Like David and I won't hear anything. And she'll just decide to bark. And I think it's just because she's bored, and that's why I've started more training with her. I want to kind of nip this habit in the bud. So I mentioned I started doing games with her. So we started on an up-down game, which is drop a treat so the dog lowers its head, and then when it raises its head, it should look up at you, and then you click and you drop another treat. And the action of the dog's head going up and down, physiological studies on dogs have actually found that that's a calming thing. So it's essentially something you start in the home, but then the idea is to bring it into environments like the vet's office so that your dog you can have a tool to put your dog more at ease. Plus it's a fun game because they get treats. But Kiki is like, she only today, after we did it yesterday like 3 times, I do it like 10 treats at a time. And it's cool because you can do it just in like random spare moments that you might have. Hold on, I got too close. There I am. But yeah, today she finally figured out that if she made eye contact was when the treat would drop. Yeah, it's just shepherds. Like they are guard dogs. They come from those lines and they tend to run that way. That tends to be their thing. But I don't want just random crap all day. It's very disruptive. So the next game will be the I forget what they call it. It's like the something 50, and the idea is that 50 times throughout the day, you just click and treat your dog for doing things that are great, like just lying quietly and stuff like that. So I have to section out 50 treats. I think I'll section out a few days of 50 treats. So I'm going to add just a little bit of white to that one. And then I'm going to add 2 drops of white. This would be my highlight to that one. And we'll worry about skin tones after we figure out the hair and the fins. But yeah, so the 50 things game will be good for reinforcing when she's doing what I want her to do. Whether it's chewing her bully stick or playing with her ball and being good and self-entertaining or lying quietly and being a good girl, I want to reward that. Which is what the mistake that a lot of people make with dogs, and you know, I'm not perfect either, is that we always correct them when they do something wrong, but you don't like give them feedback for the things you really want them to do unless you're actively training. We did work with Kiri and Leo back in the day of whenever they were quietly lying down, we would treat them. So I'm got to start that same process with the Keekster. So mixing this up, we're just making our hair shadow, mid-tone, highlight, and I'm going to essentially put a brush full of this into this to make it a pale, pale pink. And we'll use that for that's kind of what I've used for top highlight here, but I want to make it a little shinier. Plus, I didn't do all the hair, and we didn't do the tail fin at all. But yeah, I just don't want her to get into the habit of barking randomly because she's bored. Like, that is totally something that could happen. I'm also going to put my brush, which has purple, back into the blue here. Just to kind of keep them a little closer together. There we go. Because that totally can be a thing. Dog is bored, dog starts a barking habit. Like, that happens a lot. If you have that annoying dog in your neighborhood that gets shut in the backyard because its owners mistakenly think that will keep it busy or give it things to do, and it barks incessantly throughout the day, yeah, that's a barking habit. We definitely don't want one of those. Alrighty. So I want to just I did the hair pretty quick last time, and I want to pay a little more attention to it. Yeah, parenting human toddlers. Yeah, toddlers and dogs. Very, very similar. Very, very similar up to a point. The dog stays psychologically and learning ability around the 2 to 3 year old level. Whereas the toddler then advances past that. I'm just going to kind of double down on my highlights over here. I didn't do strands everywhere, so I'm going to come in and do that. I'm going to pick up more here. Like I said, I remember doing this pretty quick, and I ignored a lot of this area in here, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna spend some time getting, being a lot more meticulous about this area today, and also carry that over to didn't do the back at all. We just did the base and the back. Right. But at the same time, I think there's more margin for error. Like, I feel like that's a plus and a minus, right? Because there are other challenges then as humans come into their own and start acting out and wanting to be their own people. Whereas with dogs, if you nail those early stages, you end up with a pretty good canine member of society. I feel like dogs are like a little less, are quite a bit less complex, thank God. So you get the plus and the minus, right? The plus is that you can eventually communicate with your baby human and have them understand you, like, you know, in elaborate means, whereas dogs are limited in their knowledge of the English language and their comprehension of what your intent is and what the situation is. Whereas humans can grasp all that stuff a lot easier, but they're also a lot more complicated. That could be challenging. Not to mention you're stuck with them for 18 years minimum. Can you tell why I didn't have kids? Oh, dear. Well, there was a combination of why I didn't have kids. It's definitely a complex topic, as any of those very involved life choices are, right? All right, so I'm just bringing out this little area here. It's a little bit more in the light, this strand here, and that lets me, I gotta get back here. I can see a spot that I missed that needs a shadow. See that gray spot right there? So I'm just tuning, really. We set this up. A lot of this we set it up, but we did just the bare basics, and now I want to bring out some of these lovely details because the hair is sculpted very well for a 28mm special, for a 28mm digital. I think that Christine really understands what's the ideal scale of sculpting hair at this scale. Like, what's the how ropey or how, you know, flat do you need it to make it really paintable at 28mm? Like, to give people enough that they can paint it, but also give them make it flatter so that it actually looks like hair. A lot of 3D sculpts are just very ropey hair, and that's like, yes, it's I mean, I guess it's easy to paint, but if you want to do a really good job on it, it's very difficult, almost impossible. Like, I usually have to fill some of that area with putty if the hair gets too ropey on digitals. So there's kind of a happy medium. I feel like Christine Van Patten really nails that. I'm getting too old for that, though, Pendrake. But no, I'm pretty much the person at age 4, Pendrake. When we picked up my brother and mom from the hospital, I asked my mom if it hurt to have a baby. I remember this clearly, and so does she. And she said, yeah. And I said, I'm never having kids. And I remember that memory, like, that stuck in my head through all the years. And, I mean, that was the first reason, but many, many other reasons came up. So, yeah. Especially at this age, there's no effing way. There's no... I have a career, and I feel like I've wasted enough time in my life, and I feel like my life is better used for other pursuits than raising a child. I will leave raising children to those of you who have a lot more patience and a lot more time that you're willing to dedicate to it. I have never had a lot of patience, and I don't think I would have been a very good parent if I had actually had a child earlier in my life. I feel like only now am I getting to be a person who could actually raise a decent child, but I would much rather use my energy in other ways. Yeah, it's so much work. Exactly, Crowley. Well, I know that because I've raised dogs. See, this is it. Dogs are a great trial run. Puppies are a great trial run in a relationship to figure out if it's a relationship you want to have kids with. Because they also are a crap ton of work, but for a much shorter period of time, right? And I mean, my ex is a good person, but he really left me to do the lion's share of the work with the dogs. And that told me that he was the kind of person I would never have children with, because I'm not willing to sacrifice all of my life to raise somebody, to raise a kid. Like, I wouldn't have gotten any help. Like, that's how I felt. And it may not be valid, but... And so that pretty much... the first person I've been with that I felt would be a 50-50 child raiser with me was David. But at that point, it was just not going to happen. Oh no, Quinty, the boxes. So you speak toddler, Agent Marvel, huh? Yeah. That's funny. I bet there is a lingo. There's probably definitely a lingo that you work out between you, huh? But yeah. Even as a kid, I didn't enjoy other kids. I was just me. Everybody's different. But yeah, I said that the part of my reaction to the adoption thing, Pendrick, is that Dave and Vicky, Reaper Dave and his wife, they had to go through a really, like, they were not approved for adoption many times. Because of their age, and I'm at that age now. But they are very hesitant to place a younger child, like a baby or a toddler or whatever, with older people. That was at least the experience that they had. So we're going through the hair here, and we're shining it up. You can see how it's getting very shiny. SSC having issues. Those kiddas of yours. I guess that's the problem with having many animals, though, right? It's like when we had 4 dogs, it always seemed like every month one of them was gonna do something or have something. Hey, it's a Lugarade. Thank you, Miniatures Den. We're adjusting hair today. We're doing shiny purple hair today. Yeah, the summoning worked. I said your name 3 times, Luca. It was earlier, though. So yeah, I really just blocked in some of this hair to see if the color was going to work. So today I am refining it and making it look shinier. As you can see, we're very shiny, and we need to work on the fishy tail, which is the same color, and I didn't even touch the back yet, so. Oh, hairballs? Yeah. Those animals, they just keep us guessing. It's always something. So I'm really excited to I think I'm going to start doing nose work with Kiki today. I'm going to, I have my kit with all the different scents, and I'm going to prep a capsule so that we can start working on scent recognition. I got all inspired at my event this past weekend, because my Kiki's brother does scent work, nose work, and it's apparently a great way to tire them out, those energetic dogs that we have. And I'm all for that. But it's also easier to start with than I thought. Shani, who's Banyan's mom, broke it down really well in her little talk. And so I got all inspired. I bought the materials back when Kiki was a tiny puppy. And then I just got way busy and overwhelmed. Okay. So this is the base color. Slavic is Wild Violet. You could easily make this color by mixing, say, a red shade phthalo blue, if you're using Chimera, a red shade phthalo blue with magenta, and adding just a touch of white for coverage. That would get you real close to this. There may be another pigment in this one. I don't remember. I made it, but I've slept since then. I created this color, but I've slept since then. But yeah, this is just a reddish. It's still a reddish purple, but for reddish purples, it's on the blue side, right? So a more reddish purple, slightly more reddish, would be like Runic, but Runic is also a little bit more faded. So this one's just a little bit more blue. And then the shadows are actually Void Blue. And again, you'd want to use, to equivalent this, if you don't have MSP, you'd want to use a red shade phthalo. The only company I know that does a red shade phthalo in pure pigment is Chimera, but they do it. So this has just a tiny touch of black in it to darken it just a little. I think there is also just a tiny touch of white, again, for coverage, because I want a little bit, I want it to be a little stronger. It's still a very translucent color. It's very much a strong red shade phthalo at heart. Yeah, hiding things is for him to smell out is right. Yes. Yeah, well, and Kiki is, she's 1/4 poodle wetterhound mix. So yeah. She's mostly shepherd, but she's got that poodle back there behind her, so she does do better with busy work. So I'm looking forward to playing the Find It game, Slavic. So anyway, after these two, these are the main basics, and then after that you just take it up with Runic Glow. Here is a magenta and white mixture, so I mix I grab a brush full of this and mix the magenta and white in, and then pure white with just a little bit of this mixed into it. So you're very much working with red shade phthalo blue, magenta, and white with just a touch of black in the shadow. So my base is going to be the wild violet, and then as you can see back here, I brought in my blue in various places. I'm looking for something that's shimmery and color shifty, so that's why I'm using that blue to instead of an indigo or something else. I'm using that straight blue to shade this. Just like here, I started with that void blue and I'm bringing it up through the teal to the green, right? So I want this to be kind of a fake iridescent kind of feel to it. It should still work. Yeah, I was talking about miniatures paints mostly, Hugh. But yeah, I mean, the only miniature paint company that I know that's doing a pure red shade phthalo is Chimera. Although Reaper's clear blue is mostly red shade phthalo. Okay, what else? I think that's about it. Anyway, those are the colors I used. But yeah, you could use golden. I mean, it's the same thing, right? You still have to add a little bit of white to it to get better coverage, but it's the same kind of mixes. You could use any artist tube paint. You're just going to have to work more to get it to the consistency you need it. No problem. Unless it's the fluid acrylics, in which case you're good. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's not as complex as you think, right? Because if you look at the color wheel, you've got that. What we're doing is essentially going this way, right? So I've gone with a darker blue for the shadow. I kind of skip over the blue violet to go straight to the violet because I'm using translucent blue glazes to take down that shadow instead of doing an intermediate mixture of this blue violet. So we're starting here, and then the red violet is the magenta is right here between the red violet and the red. It's a cold red, right? So we're really just going in this progression from shadow to midtone to highlight. But yeah, it's not like an easy tryout or anything. That's true. Yeah, I hear you, Hugh. I managed to get them, I don't know, a while ago. I got lucky on the Scale 75 website, and then Scale 75 was at ReaperCon, so I actually was able to finally pick up the Robert Carlson colors, which I've been wanting to play around with. I need the right model for that. But I finally am emerging from the fog of my recent travel and getting back in the mood to paint, so I'm excited to get some progress in on some projects. But yeah, I love red shade phthalo blue. Like, it's honestly, I love that pigment so very much. Reaper uses it as a base for intense blues, and so we have a high density version of it. And I love opening the bucket and seeing that incredible vibrant saturated blue peering up at me. Back when I was actually actively mixing the paint for the company. Just gonna do a little bit of light there. So yeah, I'm just going into the hair on this one, and we're spending more time. Instead of just blocking it in and making sure that my color choices work, I'm actually gonna really bring up all the details. It's very zen. This is my favorite part of the painting process, is once I have things blocked in where I get to go in with texture and highlight and really suggest what the texture, what the sheen is of a surface. It's my favorite thing to do. It just feels so relaxing to me. I just kind of go in and make what I've already done even better. Like, it is my favorite part. But yeah, I mean, the golden fluid acrylics or the the Soflats is they might have one. I don't know. But yeah, tube paint's fine. The only thing with tube paint is some brands, like, make sure you buy it artist grade and not student grade, because some brands are going to have more fillers to get that thickening, to thicken the base. And then it's going to fall apart more when you thin it. So you definitely want something with a high quality pigment count and base if you can get it. And you'll just have to get used to thinning it more than you would need to thin paints that are closer to set up closer to miniatures consistency for what we tend to do. But that's not a deal breaker at all. It's just a style thing. A little bit brighter up on the highlight there. I want to bring in a little bit of light through here. Yeah, you went with artist. Yeah, that's smart. A lot of people are attracted to student grade because they figure it's a step up from craft paint, at least, like if they start with craft paints. And it certainly is, but at that point you may as well just slowly replace your craft paints with like quality colors. Because if you're already doing the mixing, if you're reaching for artist colors, you're already into it for mixing. So you don't need that many. So in my opinion, like going for the more expensive but better option is worth it in the long run. All right, I want that off-white up here again. I want to really punch this area right up here. I don't know that they differentiate Pendrake. I don't know that I always, as an art student, I always considered Liquitex a grade below Winsor & Newton, which does have artist and student grades. Yeah. Yeah, student grade, I mean, it's better than nothing for sure. And if you're mixing, and you can make it work, it's not terrible. It's just not as highly pigmented. That's why it's cheaper. I don't know if there's a difference in the base. I would guess no. I would guess the difference between student grade and artist grade is purely the amount of pigment. Because pigment is what's expensive. It may be the quality of pigment as well, but that's dicey. Quality is a dicey term to use about pigment. Because pretty much most pigments out there are pretty comparable. You don't really get inferior pigments anymore. So that's just the amount. Terrible Lazy Gamer. Well, thank you for gifting that there, Terrible Lazy Gamer. If you could motivate yourself to do that, you can't be really that lazy, in my opinion. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you struggled with them, Hugh? Ah, yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, transparent. No, they're really good for everything else, though. They're really good for glazing and for if you want to layer with more subtlety, they're really good for that, of course. But yeah, when you're starting out and you just want to get paint on a miniature and you want things to be bold or to cover well then yeah. But you know, sometimes those obvious things they just escape our brain in the moment. You are not dumb, you are just a human. I have made plenty of You don't suck at all. Jeez, Kuro. Fishing for compliments. Well, we'll gratify you by giving you compliments. We all think we suck, right? That goes back to like secretly we're convinced that we're not really as good as like most of us anyway. Some of us have that arrogant certainty, or we put it on that we have it, which is great when you think that much of yourself and you're right. You know, it's good if you can take an objective view of your development and say, wow, you know, I'm pretty good at this. I use the word arrogant, but that's not really right. It's what people like tend to discourage us with, right? That term. If we're not shy about complimenting our own abilities. Hello, Keller Bloom. Yeah. You want to rush. Yeah. Yeah, the key to that is just like learning to enjoy the process. Like I said, this part, the meticulous slow part, is actually my favorite. It's my favorite part of painting. because I feel so relaxed when I do it. I feel like all of the main work is done and all I have to do is just refine it. And part of me just loves that process of refinement. It just, it's so relaxing for me to have my brain just sink into that. And know that I'm not in a hurry, that if I take my time, it'll look better, and I just enjoy it. But that's not everybody. Everybody's different. But yeah, just these little tiny brush strokes. I just love this. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If you put in the effort and care, you may not be satisfied with the results, but it doesn't mean the results are bad, right? It just means you have a very high standard you're holding yourself to, which can be good or it can be counterproductive. It depends on if it motivates you or if it kind of kills the urge to paint in you, right? It can do either, depending on your temperament. People who really, really are into, like, who have a strong competitive urge do well on that kind of thing. Because the challenge of getting to a point where they're happy or where they think they'll be happy feeds into the hobby for them. But with people who aren't very confident or who hold themselves to a very high, almost unreachable standard, it can get very inhibiting. Which is why it's good to keep your first models around so that you can force your brain to recognize that you have improved and that it's really cool that you've improved. Yeah. Yep, it's true in both painting and writing. I was trying to talk to you when I went to my event this last weekend. One of my friends showed up. She owned one of my past dogs. We owned puppies from the same litter, so we got to be friends. She's also a writer who writes fantasy, but she's been struggling a lot, and she has a hard time like letting go of her mistakes. She definitely has a lot of perfectionism. And for me, the way around that was to realize, when I realized through working with my beta readers and everything, and through also just reading other people's stuff that's highly rated, and like recognizing that their stuff is like there are faults in it, but people still enjoy the story. So I was able to kind of shift away from my perfectionism and understand that if I was making changes to my manuscript that were really just like futzing around with like word choices, that degree of futzing was not going to matter one whit to my readers. And with painting, it's kind of the same. Something that when you realize that you're futzing with one small area, stop and understand that the whole is what people will look at. And that'll be an exception if you're entering a high-end competition where the judges, have to nitpick. Then maybe they'll look at that place that you maybe couldn't execute as well, and they'll call you out on it. But in general, people looking at your work are going to look at your work from the whole, and they're not going to micro-focus on all the little areas that you feel you could have done better at. So that's absolutely true, Hugh. Yeah, it's contrast. Gamer, it's contrast. It's just like, because I'm putting in an off-white, I'm really able to hit these little strands, and that brings out those little details. So I want to make the top of the hair a little bit, I want to pop that even a little bit more than I have. Look at this mini I painted, isn't it adequate? Oh, come on, Cornico. Yes. It might be adequate to you, but amazing to somebody else. We're all very hard on ourselves. And which is a shame, because this hobby is so very good for your brain. It's got that thing where you can just focus in on this little pewter monster or person, and you can make your other worries disappear for just a little while you're focused on this. And so that's why That's why I'm going to be doing some mindset videos for my YouTube, because I want to give people some tools to work with that. Because more than anything, I want to help people reduce the frustration with the hobby, and also like kind of get out of their own heads and just enjoy it. Learn to just enjoy it. Learn to kind of question the people who imply that if you're not really, really, really good at a thing, you should just move on and do something else. Like, that's just total BS. If you enjoy the thing, do it. I suck at bowling, but I still like enjoy doing it whenever I can. Though I have enough of a competitive mindset that I do enjoy playing pool more than I enjoy bowling, because I'm better at it. Exactly, Inara. And that's a very healthy way to approach like a hobby in general. It's kind of how I approach my knitting. I'm not trying to impress anybody with my knitting. I'm just, I really enjoy it, and so I just do it. I'm not planning to, I'm not going to try to win any prizes with it. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just trying to actually create functional items that I can use, which just tickles the heck out of me. I just really, really like it. So, oh, meeting time. Bye, Crowley. But yeah, there's a lot of our expectations come from like expectations that are thrown at us by other people, and we've accepted those subconsciously and just run with them. So it doesn't hurt to get into your own head sometimes and ask, why do I feel this way? Like, where is this really coming from? And you might not get any answers right away. You might have to ask yourself that question, for a while. But eventually, if you're paying attention, you're going to figure it out. And once you understand why your brain is like giving you that message, you can diffuse it. Or if you believe in it, if it is part of you, you can embrace it. But that's up to you. But yeah, especially if you're somebody, we've talked about this before, but if you're somebody who is told often as a child that you were not creative, not artistic, it was a waste of your time to do art because, you just weren't, right? You weren't good at it. You would never be good at it. A lot of people are told that. It's a real freaking shame, too, because everybody could use a creative outlet. So we're just kind of doubling down on the light up here. I want the top of the head to be lighter in general because it's facing the light. So now looking at it from above, and this, by the way, is a really good function of having a document camera and being able to look at my screen and see exactly how the mini looks from above while the light is actually shining correctly on it. If I tip the mini toward myself, shadows will interfere with my perception because I don't have a light over my shoulder. So doing this actually helps me assess whether my shadows are in the right places, because when I look at this, all of the blue tends to be, falling out of sight, and I'm seeing a lot of highlights, so that's good. Your art teacher got in a really heated argument with your parents about it? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, Nara. I was in a bowling league for a little while, but I just didn't enjoy it. So I ended up dropping out when I was 12 or 13. I stopped it. I was never really great at bowling, and it was not something I was interested enough in to try to be better. So mom and dad both bowled just for fun. They were in leagues just as something to do. It was their hobby. So that's why they kind of got me into it, but they were just fine with me stepping out of it and saying, no, I'm not interested in that. Instead, in high school, I did a lot of theater and choir instead, and that was much more up my alley. Oh, jeez, you. Yeah, but there are a lot of people out there. A lot of people come to miniature painting having no previous art experience, or just not having embraced a lot of art as kids. And a lot of them have been told those things, right? It's like, well, you're just not creative. Don't worry about it. You're just not artistic. But then unfortunately, they come into the hobby with that preconceived notion, and they really want to do the hobby because they think it's really cool, and maybe they play D&D. And then they get into the painting side, but they're fighting against that mindset, right? That says that they could never get as good. I could never do that. I could never be that good at that. I hear that all the time. I've heard that so many times over the years. I could never do what you do. And the answer is, oh, of course you could, but it takes a lot of work to get there. And you have to believe in yourself at some level. You have to be willing to take a chance on the fact that everybody who told you you weren't creative is wrong. But that can be really hard for people. Especially if that's just kind of become like, if that's something they've said to themselves so many times that they've just accepted it. It can be really hard to get by. And just to clarify, if you really just want to do basic simple paint jobs, do it. Like, paint for the game and don't worry about how good you get. Don't worry about what techniques you learn. Do it until you're happy with it and be done. I mean, that's valid. Nice, Kerniko. It figures. That's when you always do. Yeah, go for the social aspect. Just leave the room when you start for singing. And all right, fair. I can sing. I do miss choir. Like, I feel like at some point, although God knows I have enough going on right now, right? But at some point I would like to get back into a choir. I never learned to read music, but I have a very good memory, so I always just learned everything by rote. And I really enjoy singing with a group. It used to be one of my great pleasures in life when I was in high school and early college. There we go. So now we got that light coming in up there. That's pretty good. All the strands are showing up. This is lighter than this. So good, we can see the shadows. I want to get that a little bit more. Right, Inara, right. Yeah, I suck at art is like, it's an insidious phrase. That's not what they actually think. That's what they've been told. That's what they've chosen to believe. Or not chosen. Sometimes you just believe stuff because you just don't question it. Yeah, exactly, Sir Gambit. Like, there's so many levels that you can enjoy this hobby at. That's the great thing about it. That's why I hate the whole, oh, I'm not going to try that hobby because I'm not artistic, right? That's why I'm, like, trying to fight against that mindset out there. And it's just like Inara says, it's like, a lot of our culture encourages us to only do things that we're good at right away, but, like, that's vanishingly rare. It always takes some sort of effort, and usually, even if you feel like, oh, I was good at this thing right away, it actually was groundwork that you laid as a child. Like, for me, I've been into art since I was like, I've been drawing things since I was 4 or 5, right? So I came into this with brush control, and I loved colors when I was a kid, so I learned some instinctive, color theory, where I definitely, like, I understood that this color didn't feel right to me, and this color did. So all of that groundwork then made me good at miniature painting when I took it up. It gave me a few steps higher on the ladder, right? Started me a few steps higher on the ladder. But that was all just like groundwork that I had just done because I loved it as a child, right? So I don't think there is natural talent. I think that as kids we start to develop skill sets, and those skill sets make us like appear naturally aptitude, for some stuff. Although that changes, as Pendrake has said before, with sports, right? Where physical features, at the highest level, physical features do matter. Like whether you have a long torso and powerful arms for swimming, right? So, although you could argue that when you're not at the highest level, that stuff might not matter near as much. Good, Quindy. I hoped you liked the Creepy Girl song. Oh, excellent. That's really cool, Hammerwalk. Yeah, I've never tried leather stuff. I've been interested in it just because I'm interested in all art. But that's really cool that you can do that. The 9 easy steps. Ha ha! Yep. Yep. Too much work, right? Too much work. Quote unquote. It's never too much work. Okay, sometimes it is. I'm going to bring in a little bit more of my violet. I want to make this area just a little bit more just straight violet so that my shadow blue underneath there is clean. I had a lot of blue in between the strands here. I don't mind a little bit of that blue, but on an upper surface like this is, I want the light mostly falling on that. So part of this is refinement and part of this is correction. Because I really just slobbered on all that blue when I was originally knocking in the shadows for this. So there will definitely be areas where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have put that blue there. So it's easy to correct. Oh, hey, is the Dungeon Dwellers RPG Kickstarter still going on? Yes. How is it doing, Quindy? Where's the link? I saw the Dungeon Dwellers thing there, but thanks. I wanted to check it out, so I'm going to actually open that in a different window real quick. 10 days to go. Ah. Oh, we're doing good. That I think for an RPG Kickstarter, that's quite good. Go Reaper. Almost over the 100K, yeah. 99K, or as what I just saw, Pendrick. So definitely going to hit the 100K. Yeah, for an RPG Kickstarter, I think that's really quite nice. So, excellent. I mean, Ron has been trying to develop that thing for ages, so I'm very happy that it's doing well. I didn't want to lose track of it because I wanted to watch it when it was coming to its end to see if it got a nice boost. I'm playing catch up with my Patreon now. I shot my fundamentals video yesterday. My first one for the month. I'm happy that this feels like a longer month. Like we've got a lot of weeks in it since the dog show completely killed my first 6 days of the month. Yeah. I would assume they would, Polly, but I guess I don't know. Like I said, Ron has wanted this for a very long time. He's been writing role-playing game materials for a long, long time. So he's wanted to have an RPG. And I would think that, especially if it's well received, he would be really enthusiastic about more stuff being developed for it. But, you know. So essentially what I'm saying is, and this happens in most of business and certainly with game companies, vote with your dollars. If you want more, then spread the word about it. Because if it's popular, it's more likely to get more support. For a long time, Reaper went away from doing like game stuff at all because Ed felt it wasn't our strength. And it takes a lot of it takes a fair amount of infrastructure to continue putting out like releases and materials for stuff like that for either miniatures battle games or for stuff like an RPG, which is typically book heavy, right? Oh, okay, Maggot White is out again, huh? The paint add-on, yep. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be its own system or if they had adapted. Previously, Reaper had developed its own systems, but that's purely previously, and I'm not sure. You'd have to read the whole thing. Read the blurb. The blurb will, I would imagine, tell you. So we're just adding in more of this off-white color here. When I get a little mucky with these strands, like I kind of have gotten a bit mucky there, I'm probably going to paint over it a little bit. Oh no. Oh no, Kerniko. Sorry. Warlord was good when it was a smaller skirmish level game, Pendrake, but it fell down, I think, a little bit when it sought to make itself a true army game. It was very fun when it was smaller forces. I mean, that's when I was helping to play test it way back in the day. But yeah, I mean, that's why Reaper kind of stopped. Warlord is the reason Reaper stopped doing that kind of thing. Allegedly customs friendly, that's too bad. But the problem is that then when you're doing army, when you have to do army books and then, you know, a new edition and all that, that's a lot of like resources being directed towards something different than what Reaper is known for, right? Because Reaper's not known for developing games, Reaper's known for miniatures. So it's cool that there was a game that you could use the miniatures in, but at the same time it was a very demanding, because you have to pay for that writing, and you have to pay for those books, and you have to like find distribution for those books and stuff like that, right? So, and all while you're fighting the fact that previously you haven't really been known as a game company. So I understood why Ed made the call. No. Yeah, it's kludgy. I agree that it wouldn't stand up today. There are a lot of really great rule sets. Like, there's a lot of good games out there. But I'm happy to see Reaper going in the RPG direction, because that is more of our wheelhouse, right? So, hopefully this will do well and Ron will be happy. Okay, so I cleaned up the hair strands a bit. Because that was the way to scale up, Pendrake. When you're a company, and this is why Games Workshop does the same thing. It gets you in with the small stuff, the small scale skirmish games. But at least now, like with Warhammer Underworlds, for example, and Kill Team, those are abbreviated skirmish versions of their bigger games, right? So once you have those games, then it's natural for you to look at Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40k. Otherwise, though, as a company, you hypothetically cease making money once people have their initial warband, and it's not very many models to do that. So business-wise, you really, if you're going to scale it up and make it profitable, hypothetically, that's why all these games turn into army games. But in order to do that, you have to have a rule set that will support that kind of growth rate. And some skirmish level rule sets aren't as good when you try to adapt them to a big game. But that is why. And yeah, sure, some people will, they'll like the game enough that they'll have several warbands, right? I had a couple. But then there are a lot of people who, once they have their original warband, they aren't going to buy anymore at any point. So, aw, I'm sorry that you had that experience, Cornico. That kind of sucks. I'm really picky on my Kickstarters these days. For me, the best skirmish game will always be Mordheim. And that is highly colored by the fact that I had a super time playing it for years post-college with my local game store group. So I'm totally biased because of that. I had a great experience with it. Even when it was OP and unbalanced, it was still super fun to play with my friends. And most of the time, if you put in some limitations, you could keep it from being too OP. Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah, Inara. OPR is your rule set. Yeah, there we go. Trashorama. That sounds like a good fix. Yeah. Oh no, Quindy. Oh my god. Yeah. Sweet. Go and support your uncle. Wow. That's a comeback, huh? That's fine. I'll somehow manage to muddle through, Quindy. I'll miss you. I'll miss you being my mod. But if we get any trolls, I'll just have to remember that /ban actually works. At least all my Nightbot commands work again. I just have to remember what they are. I'm such a sad little Twitch streamer in some ways. Oh, lordy. Oh, one-page rules. Cool. I'm sure we'll be fine. At that point, all the trolls now are orienting their cannons toward my stream. And no, we'll be working on Owlbear Fur. Unless I feel like working on Crystal Dragon instead. But I do kind of want to work on Owlbear Fur. So again, just a little bit to highlight, just to bring out the movement and texture of the hair. That's okay, Jabberwock. You don't have to. I'm just happy doing it. I like doing my Saturday stream. I like just hanging out and working on one of my own projects, so don't ever feel like you need to come, but if you do have time to show up, we will always be welcome. Yeah, definitely, Quindy. I imagine, though, when you've been in a coma that you are just happy to be around and want to celebrate with your loved ones. So that's how I would be. All right, let's see that little bit of light here. I'm just trying to orient this and see where my light goes. I still want to pick up a little bit of here. Forbidden Psalm. Yeah. Really? Okay. Yeah, I liked Mordheim a lot. I love the setting. I love the warbands. I played Possessed. I was very chaosy in those days. But mostly I did it so I could have Beastmen and Chaos Hounds. Which I love my Chaos Hounds. But, yeah, I just really enjoyed Mordheim. I really enjoyed the progression system for the characters. And how, it was a good balance of, you know, if you got lucky, you could build up, you know, a character to something that was actually scary. And if you got unlucky, you could just lose that character. So it was just fun. And I really love progression systems in skirmish games. Like, I really, because it appeals to the role-playing part of me, which is really why, I like, that's a portion of why I like miniatures battle games, is I like to, like, do a little bit of role-playing with my army. Which most people don't, but I like there to be a story behind my army and my characters, even if it's a silly one. It usually is a silly one. That's cool. You can, I mean, give us game recs, Trash. You're fine. It's good to know, especially because Reaper isn't, you know, doing a game right now of that sort. It's good to know there are open systems out there that you can use to have a fun game. Does Forbidden Psalm have character and unit advancement, or you know what I'm talking about? Like Mordheim did? Because that's really what I'm looking for. Is like, as I play through a campaign, do my characters get better or have the risk of becoming worse, right? Okay, cool. So I would guess that Forbidden Psalm was probably a response to Mordheim not being around anymore. When did they come out with it? Because Mordheim was popular, like, as far as cult. It was cult popular. Those of us who love it with a flaming purple passion. Alright, so let's go down to our fishy tail here. Now this is more easy because it's all one upper curve, so we want to make sure that we get lighter color on the upward facing parts. Oh, like 2-3 years ago. Okay. Excellent. Well, maybe I can note of that. I'll go look it up, because if it's a skirmish game, maybe David will play with me. Is it on Drive-Thru RPG? Oh yeah, it's still around because there were so many fans of it, but the game hasn't been made in years, Pendrake. That's cool, Jabberwock. I'm not as a fan of realistic combat, although it depends. That's only because my experiences with more realistic combat systems eliminate the fun a little bit for me. Like, I really don't care if something is cheesy as long as I'm having a blast, so... But to each their own. I did like the historical version of Warhammer Fantasy Battles that the Perry twins put out. Back in the olden days. Just because Warhammer was so darn unbalanced at that point. Nice. But yeah, Mordheim still has a fan base. And the materials are still out there. And people are still doing scenarios for it. But it's entirely fan-run at this point. Turgeon. Especially because I'm doing so well this month with my sales. People, total strangers, are picking up my book. And they're picking up book 2, too. Like, I'm still selling East of the Sun. And I'm also turning West of the Moon. So people who are reading the first one are definitely picking up the second one. And I haven't even considered, as far as the Kindle Unlimited, because West of the Moon is still in Kindle Unlimited as of this point. Yes, West of the Moon still needs to get to 10 reviews. We are really trying to get it up there. So, if you have read the book, or if you are even most of the way through the book and you would like to write a short review, or just give me a star rating, I'm up for it. I'm not stressing big about it. Like, I'm actually happy like, people are buying the book. Eventually we'll get 10 reviews. But the sooner we get 10 reviews, the more I think we'll really start to see some movement. So yeah, I'm excited for when we can finally pop that 10 review mark on West of the Moon. Like, I really am looking forward to it. Then I can stop worrying entirely. Well, okay, no, because I'm me and I worry all the time. But no, I know. It's okay. Everybody's busy and the holidays are coming. Who has time to read? I get it. Super, Carrie Michael. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. When you are a baby author, reviews mean so much as far as people picking up your book. Like, they really, really do. I mean, I do that. When I'm looking at picking up an author I haven't heard of before, I absolutely read through the top positive and top negative reviews. So I know how important it is, at least for me as a reader and for others as well, to have those reviews. So the sooner we can get to 10, the better. All right, so we've got really just like on the tail, I'm less about, because we don't have that same texture, right? So I'm doing broader sweeps of highlighting. I'm not like coming in with that hair texture, right? If I decided to give the fins a texture, like, this would be the time to do it. But I think I'm just going to keep with this big broad texture. So instead of doing little lines, we're going to do more of bands of highlighting. Oh, absolutely, Agent Marvel. No guilt to anybody who has not finished reading my books or who bought them and hasn't even started. No guilt whatsoever. I also understand, like, my reading time really varies from month to month, so I do not begrudge you at all. Whenever you have the time to finish it, then I would love a review. So I'm pretty much putting just a band of color through here, the highlight color. And I want the light to come down consistently. I'm using my Runic Glow color, the color that is mostly Runic Glow, to do this. Just to essentially to interfere with that band, with that that shadow there, that hole. Interesting, around the same time. Yeah, it is. Kiki, you're okay. Good girl. That's next door. Yeah, that's next door. Come here, girl. Kiki. Kiki, No, ma'am. Hey. Enough. Kiki, it's okay. Come here. Come here. Yay, good girl. They're gone. You scared them away. Good girl. Nope. Leave it. Yeah, leave it. Good girl. Nope. Young lady. Enough! Now we're getting serious. Settle down. A few barks are fine. Continuing is not. Yep. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. There we go. Yeah, all gone. Bad squirrels. Yep. She sensed the lag. It's true. No, hey, that's enough. Got it? Settle. Good girl. No! I said, you're done. Come here. Come here. Nope. In. Closed. Settle. Yep. I'm not going to let you do it. Nope. You got to be stuck with boring mama. Yep. Stuck with boring mama. Settle down. Nope. Yeah, I don't care if she barks a few times, but the whole continuous barking thing, yep, mom voice for sure. Good girl. Yeah, you gotta settle. You gotta settle, little fuzz. We only have, 15 minutes left. The thing is, when I get up, then she thinks she's right. She, like, immediately assumes if I get up, I'm going to investigate a suspicious thing that she thinks she's found. So that's why I've closed her in here. Yep. Gotta learn when enough is enough, little girl. Nope. Enough. Settle down now. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're fine. You don't have to be a dork. I have a pretty good mom voice. I have a pretty good one. After raising Thorn, he was a hell dog. Like, my mom voice got, like, dead serious, you're about to die kind of mom voice. Good girl, Kiki. Can you settle? Yeah, you're okay. Good girl. You're just stuck in here with me. I know it's terrifying, isn't it? Yeah, is it terrifying? Yeah, settle down, Bubba. I know you're not used to me closing you in here. So here, instead of doing the strands, we're going to do more. We're still going to do kind of a sweeping brush stroke to show the light kind of shining along this mermaid fin. But we're not going to really do strands, right? We're going to do more blocks. But we're going to make those blocks kind of like hourglass shaped or irregular, right? We're going to make them curve. Either hourglass shapes or the opposite, where it comes out and back, depending on the curve of the thing. And that's just going to give us more of a feel. You can see where the light is coming from, right? Good girl, Kiki. Good girl. Yeah, this is why we got to start playing that 50 Things game, where I reinforce her for being quiet and good, and I never reinforce her for being barky and bad. I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue here. I feel like I'm going to paint in more of that shadow down here. Yeah, it's a lot harder for her to go and be a dumb butt when she's right here with me, though, because she knows that I can reinforce my don't do it at close range. There. Yeah, it's not my fault. I heard something. Yeah, because the problem is you heard something. It's out on the street. That's not even... Hey! Enough! Settle down. Settle down. Yeah. And I really feel it's just boredom. I feel like she just needs more opportunities to work out her energy. That's why I think this has just suddenly started. It's just we've been trying to discourage her from pawing the glass. She likes to go up and like punch the glass with her paw because it's fun to slide off. But she's been doing a lot of that, and we've been finally getting her to like back off of that, and now the barking has started. So I'm pretty sure that it is just... Are you going to crawl on my lap? Is that the thing? Is that the thing you want to do? Crawl on my lap? Huh? Yeah? No. I'm almost got to paint. I got to paint, Bubs. I got to paint, Bubs. I do. No, there's nothing out there. It's all gone. Yeah. Yeah. She's an energetic dog, and she's still a puppy. Very much a puppy. She's slowly sliding. She's not mouthing nearly as much now, which is great. It's great, Bubba. I'm glad. More kisses, less mouths. Right? More kisses, less teeths. Yeah. Oh, you want it? Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have a lap dog. It's a little hard to paint like this. It's a little hard. No, you can't eat my Fitbit. No Fitbits. She loves long sleeves, too. No, Kiki. No, Kiki. There you go. She's like, what's this? What's this? What's that? Hi. No, you can't be the star. No, you cannot be the star. All right, off. Good. All right. I'm going to open the door again. Here you go. No. Enough. No. Enough. Yeah, Kiki is definitely a Cerberus. It's definitely a Cerberus. Alright, so my paint's a little thick so I can see my demarcations, but I'm not really concerned about that. If I really am, then I can thin down my base coat a little bit and brush that. And the reason I would use my base coat to do this instead of thinning down my highlight color is just that the highlight color has more white in it, so it's going to be harder to make it be translucent, whereas the base coat has less white. It's going to be much easier to just brush that a little bit over the edge and blend that in. Might take a couple coats, but it'll work. Hey, Kiki. Yeah, it's almost time. Almost time, but still work. Yeah, we'll go for our walk soon. So now let's go up to the next level. Keeks overall is quite good. Like, seeing the other dogs at the show, guys, honestly, Keeks is pretty good. There were a lot of kind of all over the place dogs at the show, which is to be expected at one of our shows, because we're a very casual org. We're not the AKC. So we actually encourage just normal, like, just pet owners to get in the ring with their dogs just to try it out. But Kiki is definitely not the worst. Alright, there we go. So I wanted to bring that band over here too. Not under here because the anchor's right here, so I want this shadow. In fact, I'll double down on that and bring in some of my blue once I've blended this in. Wild Violet is the base coat Jabberwock. One of the last colors I did for Reaper. We'll get some blue into this. Alright, I think I've got it where I want it. And now I'm going to grab my highlight. Yeah, there is an incessantly barking dog outside, and I feel like maybe she's just channeling that dog a lot lately. Right, Bubba? It doesn't matter, Bubba. That dog is just being a dork. So, making this kind of hourglass shape. For the more convex areas. Or sorry, concave areas. And then going with more of an oval shape for the, so kind of like that. More of an oval shape for the concave areas, or convex areas, sorry. So if it sticks out, oval shape, like down here. If it falls in a little bit, hourglass. I always get those mixed up. I have to stop and think about them all the time. Oh, that was a bit strong. Strong and puddly. That's not a big deal. But I had too much paint on my brush, for sure. So I just let that dry because I can blend it in. I've thinned down my off-white a lot. So I've decided, speaking of reading, I've decided to stop reading my Lit RPG I've decided it is distracting me from my writing. So I'm going to switch to a cozy mystery on my Kindle to totally remove it from play. Otherwise, I'll get really distracted and I won't make as much progress on North of the Wind. And I really want to win Nano this month and get a good solid 50,000 plus words done on it. So kind of you can see how bringing that sheen in really makes it look shiny. Salutations, Luca. How goes it? There we go. I am doing really good. Apart from having a very barky puppy lately, it's National Novel Writing Month. National Novel Writing Month is always one of my favorite months, so I'm working on a new book. And I'm finally done with travel for the year, which makes me very happy. It is Luca Day. Yep, and it's 11. So I suppose I should hand it over to the Lord of Alpacas. I went late yesterday anyway, so... Though I've lost enough time that I don't feel bad about going late at any point. So we've gotten some shine in. You guys can see how the highlights are coming up and bringing that tail up nice and shiny, and how we're doing a different type of highlight to show texture, right? From the hair to the fins. So although we're using the same colors, we're using a different technique, and we've brought up all the hair on the front too, so now it looks really shiny, which I really like. This is technically meant to be like a statue, but I'm painting it as though it's a real mermaid, and I'm going to do metal on the anchor, but it's going to be like iron with lots of rust on it. Did you ever walk? So we'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually. That's why I painted it black, though, is because I want it to look more iron than anything. And then we'll, of course, do wood for the pylons, and then we'll do the ropes and stuff like that. But, yeah, she's come along. I didn't get to the skin. I didn't get to correcting the skin, and we didn't quite finish the tail, but we'll get there next time. So, but yeah, you have a great afternoon too, Turgeon. Thanks for the book promote. So, yeah. So there we go, guys. All right. I am going to say tomorrow we are back to painting our barbarian friend as a vampire. We were doing kind of a fading effect on some of his red to make it a little less saturated, so it will go better with his skin tones, and we were blocking in some purples on panels back here. We'll probably keep blocking things out on him. I want to be careful with how I paint him to make sure that the skin ends up looking the way I want it to. So I'm going to be careful with what colors I put next to it and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of feeling my way. He's got a lot. Despite being a barbarian, he actually has a lot going on with all of these different layers of leather and stuff and fur and etc. So we will work on him tomorrow, and we'll figure out a little bit more of what we're doing with our color scheme. All right, and remember, this is a limited palette one, so we're only using a few colors to create all of his colors, and we're mixing everything. So yeah, so thank you. Yep, the Vamparian. Yes, it is. Exactly. Okay, I'll let you guys go over to Luca. Luca, be gentle with them. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. Have a lovely day.